let's go over this. We're going to go over the NA RLCS players, and I didn't want to rank them 1 through 24 necessarily because I don't think, one, this voting and all this stuff is going to be, just kind of eye test for the most part from myself. And obviously, these ranks don't mean they're terrible. Like, if they're in the last tier, they're still in the RLCS. They can easily show up this season. So now that we got all that out of the way, so hopefully no feelings are hurt. Let's try and put these guys into tiers. I haven't really thought about this too much yet. We're kind of going to go into this blind. And we might adjust players after the fact if I want to clean this up a little bit. So let's start. We'll start down with Rogue. We'll probably go a little bit around the horn here, and we'll change it up a little bit here or there. But let's start with Kronovi. Why not? Let's start with Kronovi. It's down here at the bottom. Where would I put Kronovi? I'm still trying to figure out exactly how high I want to go with certain players, and so for now I'm gonna put Kronovi in A. I think Kronovi is Mr. Consistent. Oh man, I really need to fix this. Okay, hold on. There we go. Mr. Consistent on Rogue. He incredibly solid. I feel like he generally is not the one who's gonna pull off the most incredible of plays, but he last season was really, really strong for Rogue. But the thing is, they need more than just him on Rogue to get wins. And I would say on his normal level, it's either an A, maybe an A+. It depends how I rank these guys going forward. He might move up into the A+ category, but he's just been super solid. And one of the things I always look for is consistency over pretty much anything. And Kronovi, incredibly consistent. He always shows up. It's just, do his teammates show up with him or not, generally. So for now, he's an A. He might move to A+. I don't know how many S's we're going to have here. But for now, we'll leave him in an A. AJ. AJ's probably a step below Kronovi, I would say. When he's on point, he's one of the best players in the world. But the problem is, I feel like AJ's not always that player. A little bit more inconsistent, but he's just barely below Kronovi, I would say, in terms of he can turn into that X factor at any given moment and win them series. It's just he doesn't always show up that way. And one thing I noticed at least last season was a lot of double commits on defense, a lot of plays when he's under pressure. He then crumbles a little bit. That doesn't necessarily crumble a ton, but I would put him just below Kronovi in terms of ranks. Wonder, I think I'd put below most of these guys, probably by a decent amount. I'd probably put him in the C+ category. I think Wonder is one of those players when Rogue looks their best, it's obviously when he shows up. But the problem is, I think he's just, normally he's a middle-in player. He doesn't do anything too exceptional. We have seen some great mechanical plays out of him. But then we also see just some weird mistakes or some weird mishits and stuff like that. I just think Wonder right now, I think that this is his season of you got to prove to us what you're made of. If Rogue has a bad season and if Wonder's not playing well, this could be the end of Wonder. That's not saying that's necessarily going to happen, and I think Wonder can turn it around because we have seen him at the World Championship really perform. But Rogue has a bad offseason again. I feel like Wonder really not playing amazing. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. Right now, I have him in the C+ category for players. So that's Rogue. Rogue is done. We'll get rid of them. We'll just go up this way, I guess, for now. Ajax. So Ajax is one of those players I haven't seen a ton of, and I want to see more of before ranking him higher. Obviously, he's shown up in other events, but RLCS is a whole nother beast. So I would put him also probably in this C+ category. I'm not sure if I'm even going to use C yet. So for now, we'll put him in C+. He might move down to C. But I need to see what Birds and the Bees do this season. I have a feeling it could be a tough season for them. It doesn't help that they didn't really get a lot of LAN experience, but not going to most of the DreamHacks. So it's it's tough. I don't know. I think Birds could have a have a rough season, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's where Ajax is going. Roldiz is probably their best player. I'll put him in the B category for now. Like a lot of people have high hopes for him, but it might be hard to see it on this team. For now, I'll put him in B. We'll see. He could move up, but like I want to see him in RLCS again, and then we'll see where we place him. For the most part, for a lot of these guys, I'm going to be like, hey, they haven't been in the RLCS. I want to see where they are, but that's mostly for Birds just because we haven't seen them at the other big events doing anything special. So with that pressure on them, who knows? So like I'll put Roldiz as a B. I think Hoxer. I think I would put Hoxer down here with Ajax. So I'd say Roldiz is probably their best player. It depends on the series or whatever, but for now I'm putting Hoxer down here in C+. But Birds is one of those teams that I want to watch every single one of those matches very closely just to see how they do because I haven't seen them a ton. They obviously had a great Rival Series League play, but then obviously during a promotion tournament, it wasn't as solid. It was still pretty decent, but it wasn't as solid. So we'll see. But for right now, Birds will be down here in the B to C+ area. Let's move over to the Peeps. Yeah, why not? We'll just go up this way. Explosive Gyro. He had some incredible performances at DreamHack. Some offensive plays that I don't even think he was expecting to make. Which might bump him up a little bit more than usual. I would put him in B. Because I don't think he's the best player on that team. Like, I think he's probably the third best on his team. But he really stepped up at DreamHack. And so I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I want to see it again. But I'll put him as a B right now. But he had a really good performance there. He could be a B+ possibly, but I'm still trying to figure out these tiers. So we'll figure it as we go. Reddles, I think, is probably the best player on that team. He had a great rival series. He had a great DreamHack under pressure, except for that one boneheaded 0-second play. Besides that, he was playing like incredibly consistent, incredibly solid the entire time. We'll put him with Kronovi for now. Once again, I think Kronovi has a chance to move up to A+, and Reddles is probably locked in at A. But I think we'll put Reddles there. That DreamHack performance was pretty solid, and I'm pretty excited to see what they do. I think Mist would probably be in that B+ category. Like I think a lot of people expect him to be one of those players that's like a new Justin or something like that, but I don't think it'll be on that level. And I think my one fear is at DreamHack in the grand finals, there was times where Mist just looked incredibly nervous and was missing balls. He has the talent, he just has to get over the nerves. So we'll see where he goes from there. But for right now, B+. I think, you know what? I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to move Kronovi up here. I think actually AJ, I'm going to move into A. And then, yeah, so we'll have Mist here. So I think this makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, I think that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, moving on. AXB, Sipical, and Arsenal. That one's tough. I feel like Sipical is probably in that A range for players. He was carrying that team last season, Space Station, doing pretty well. In certain weeks, not every single time. That's the thing with Space Station. Like, they obviously fell apart towards the end. So I'll probably put him as an A. I want to, like, I don't know. Space Station's weird because their offseason hasn't been great. So I'm a little concerned about them, but I'm hoping they bounce back, but I just don't know. Arsenal, I'd probably put with, I'll probably put him in the B. We'll see where he goes from here. I'd say he's probably on par with Roldiz, his former teammate. So we'll go there. And then AXB, with the 1v1 plays from time to time, he can really step it up. I'll put him as B+. I think Space Station is one of those teams. It's weird because we've seen them, but they just haven't really done anything. So it's like, it's another one of those teams where I'm like, where exactly are you guys at right now? They're one of my big question marks because obviously they were, fourth best in NA up until playoffs, and then they just fell apart. And they've had kind of, fallen apart a lot, like after a loss, like at DreamHacks and stuff like that. It happened in 2 DreamHacks in a row, where they lose and then they bow out to a team that they probably shouldn't have bowed out to. So we'll see what they do. That's where I have him for now. Maybe we'll move around a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, moving on. NRG. Here's where we'll start getting some S's here. So we'll have Garrett G. Clearly an S, like super consistent. One of the most consistent players in NA. Like sometimes he says he has some struggles, but he's normally a pretty good rock. Like I think there's one series where like he had like 7 defensive mistakes. Besides that, he's always been like incredibly solid. So I wouldn't really worry about him. Now Justin is going to be one of those players where you might scratch your head a bit. I'm putting him in the A+ category. When he's on and when he's like paying attention, he's easily an S. I feel like sometimes he just kind of forgets that he's playing Rocket League and he just does whatever the hell he wants to do. And in those series, when he does that, energy falls apart sometimes. Where it was the one where he was sick at DreamHack, which obviously he was sick, so whatever. But like, just wasn't really doing anything with the ball. That there are times when the series is a little bit close and he's kind of going for some incredibly weird plays that I'm not a huge fan of because, sure, that hasn't cost them yet, but I'm a little bit worried about that. At times where he just kind of wants to just go ham and just do whatever he wants to do. He'll probably buckle it down for RLCS, I assume. But that's my slight concern with Justin. Just a little concern. So I'll put him in the A+ category for now. He could easily be the best player for all of North America, maybe even the world at times. But it's just those little things that I'm like, it just irks me a bit. And sure, that hasn't cost him yet. But I'm just a little bit worried about him. He very easily could be S because his defense is also incredibly solid. But I'm going to put him as an A+. I can put him as an A+ because I'm going to try and keep the S category relatively light. We'll see. He might move up. Who knows? Turbo Pulsa. So Turbo, he had a bad season last year. When he played with Dignitas, he kind of, when he got out of that scenario, he started playing a lot better. I'll put him in the S category. It just comes down to, does he want it or not, right? Like, it seemed like last season he was just kind of going by the paces here where he was just like, It didn't seem like he cared that much. It seems like he is reinvigorated with NRG, so we'll see how he does. He's been playing really well so far, so I'll leave him in the S category. But say we're talking about it at the end of last season, he could have been down in like A to a B+ because he had a really bad season. Sure, there's some like historical context a bit with him that's going to weight him a little bit higher. But I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. But yeah, he's still an S. He's still an S. Like, it's hard because like I don't want to give like all of Energy S's. I don't want to give all of certain teams because it doesn't seem to make that much sense where I'm like, oh, if Energy's all S's and I put G2 in all A, but G2 could beat Energy, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not really sure. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to move Justin up to S. Screw it. I'm going to do it. No, actually, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. I wanted to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Oh, God. Now I'm breaking stuff. I just worry. It's just that one thing with Justin. That worries me, man. That worries me. It hasn't cost him games yet, but it could. All right. Almost, Justin. I almost put you in S. Moving on. Atomic Memory and Illusion. We'll start with Atomic. He's the new blood. From what I've seen from him, I felt like, at least from the little I've seen, like I really want to see this Astro tournament and see how he does. I do feel like he tries to do a little bit too much at times, where he goes for like this, like the really dumb angle shots that are just incredibly easy saves. And that kind of throws Ghost's like offense off because like they don't have like much of an offense anyway. So when he does that, then it kind of turns everything on its head. But that was like a couple series, right? Like I haven't seen a ton of him, so I want to see more in the Astro tournament. But for now, I'm putting him in the C+ category. Illusion, man. Now he is one of the hard ones to rank because incredibly inconsistent last season in the RLCS. He was the worst player. He was the best player. Who knows where to put him? Like I side on more of being the worst player. Not like obviously the worst player, but just side more on that side of him rather than the best side. Because even when he was playing at his best, there were some weird just misses and mechanical mistakes that I didn't expect from him. So I'm putting him in the C+ category. He can step up. He's a very smart player. Could give him a B, but I'm going to leave him in C+. Memory. I think Memory is probably the most consistent on that team. I haven't seen him wow me in a long time, though. I'll put him in the B+ category. But I want to see him wow me a little bit more coming forward into the season. All right, moving on. G2, Cloud9. All right, Chicago. I think I'll put Chicago in S. I think he's the best player on G2. I think his offensive output is extraordinarily good for G2. The thing is, with G2, it's hard to rate them because all they want to do is play offense. So then when they go on the defensive side, they're kind of in a tough spot. And you would probably rank all three of these players on the defensive side a little bit worse because of their play style. But I'm going to leave him in S, and I think that's a safe spot. JNaps. So I think JNaps is the one that probably falters the most when it is like a panic defensive play. Like I think on the offensive side, he's been fantastic. But I think when it comes down to defense, at times, from what I've seen, it's just like when you need that desperation save or the desperation like panic save that's not a double commit, I feel like JNaps would be the one to double commit, personally. But he could easily be S2 at times. But I'm putting him as A+. Rizzo. So Rizzo's the support player on G2. Very smart support player, though, on this team. They've kind of moved him up. Last season was trying to figure out how to balance him from being passive to being more aggressive. And I kind of put it on the whole team, but Rizzo himself has said, like, hey, I was just a bit too passive at times. So he can fall into that at times. I think I would put him in the A category. He's done exceptionally well in these past 2 seasons. Could probably be A+ as well. But I'll put him in A because I want to make sure he's not super passive when G2 goes into RLCS where it's like really high stakes. I'll put him in the A category just because of that, because they're still trying to figure out how to incorporate him into the offense, which he does pretty well with his demos and passes, but he's generally the support player to Chicago plus JNaps for a reason, because they're probably just slightly better players on the offensive side. So I think I'd put Rizzo as an A. He did have a really good dream hack, though. Gimmick would be an S for me. He's been relatively quiet recently, but I think I'd put Gimmick up there in the S. He's obviously one of, if not the best offensive player in North America, when he could just do whatever he wants, and Squishy and Torment kind of let him do whatever he wants, which really helps that team. Like, I love that people getting really mad about this. So, yeah. Yeah, the Gimmick's just incredibly solid. Incredibly solid. Torment. I think Torment... I don't know, man. Like, Torment... I'll put him here. Put Torment in A+. I haven't seen a lot from him recently, but I think an A+ is probably pretty solid for him. Like, he's the Rock of Cloud9, and normally the Rock doesn't get a lot of spotlight, so that makes a lot of sense, but I think I would give him an A+. Squishy's weird, because I feel like before DreamHack, this last DreamHack, I would probably put him as an A. Yeah, I want to put him as an A. Like, I think he has his moments. He always has that one spotlight play, but I do feel like it relies heavily on what Gimmick does to have Squishy be successful. But he does have those highlight plays. All right, so this is tough. All right, so we have our list, and now I'm going to go through and make sure I think that these are pretty accurate. Because we'll probably move around some players now that we've been through here at this point. But I think I'll put Squishy at A for now. Let's go down the C+ category. I think Wonder, Ajax, Hoxer, Atomic Illusion. I think that's relatively safe and relatively fine there. Arsenal, Gyro, and Roldiz in B. Are they better than Memory, AXB, and Mist? I would say no. I would say that probably works out. Mist and Roldiz, I mean, who knows? We'll see how Mist does. Like, I'm a little worried about his nerves. Let's see. AJ, Reddles, Sypical, Rizzo, and Squishy. Reynolds is obviously getting a bump because of DreamHack. But I don't mind putting him in there. He'd probably be on the lower end of that tier, just because we need to see more. But this is why it's tiers. It's not ranks necessarily. Reynolds could probably fall to B+, but same with Typical. Like, that they're probably on the lower end here. And Squishy and Rizzo are obviously on the higher end. And AJ, I would say, too. But I think that's okay. Kronovi, Justin J-Nap's Torment. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time putting Kronovi into a good spot because I feel like... Because if you ask me who should you have kicked from G2 back a couple seasons ago, I probably would have said Crow out of all the players. I probably would have said Crow or JNAPS, but I think JNAPS has gotten better since then. But Rizzo's just that support player, which is fine. But is Rizzo better than Kronovi? Is Kronovi better than Rizzo? It's tough. It's tough. I think Kronovi is better for his team on Rogue than Rizzo is for G2 on G2, if that makes sense. So I think I'm going to leave him. I think I'm going to leave him in the A+ category. Justin. Like, I think I've rated Energy. Like, obviously, like, if you're looking at this as, like, who's the best team, I would rate Energy. Then I would rate G2, and then I would rate Cloud9. Or at least they would be tied, I guess. G2 and Cloud9, which I don't think is that off necessarily. Like, Justin is just... He's so good, but I just worry. I always worry about him of just, like, going a little too crazy. But once again, he's playing with Garrett and Turbo, so he probably doesn't need to worry about that. He would definitely be on the higher end of the A+ category. Same with Crow would be on the lower end, obviously. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Jane Apps and Torment here. I think that's relatively solid. Squishy, I think, could probably move up to the A+ as well. I'm going to keep him in A, though, just for the fun of it. Because, like, at times, to me, he just is quieter than anyone else on Cloud9. But lately, it's been gimmicks, so who knows? I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen this season? I have no idea. Then at the top, we got Garrett G, Turbo, Chicago, and Gimmick. I think that's fair. Because I think if I had to have the top 5 players in NA, it'd probably include these 4 and Justin. So I don't think that's that terrible. Yeah. I think this is relatively okay. Now you guys can yell at me for all your picks. But yeah, I'm going to go with this. Here's my tier rank for the players coming to RLCS. It's not necessarily listed in order of the players in these tiers. Obviously, some are weighted higher than others, but, you know, it's tiers for a reason. You know, like sometimes you just have to group some players together. There we go. There are my tiers for this season. So that would be Cloud9 would have an average of an A+, G2 an average of an A+, Energy an average of A++, I guess you would say, or S-. Let's see. Rogue would be averaged right around an A. Peeps average would be like B+, which I think is fine. Like, obviously, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily better or worse than other things, because obviously it depends how the combos work. Like, I think G2 is probably better as a team than some of the other ones, but, you know, when it's clicking. See, Space Station was an average of like a B. Ghost is like a B, B-. Yeah, B-, roughly. It's not bad. It's not terrible. Now you guys can all yell at me. Yeah. I think it's pretty safe. It's pretty safe there. A lot of people say Crow should be moved down. I don't know. Like, I feel like he's the reason why Rogue has been so successful. He's played really, really well. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Like, I think the one I would probably say is probably the most controversial to me is Justin. Could probably be an S, but yeah. I think it's relatively good. You guys can yell at me in the comments below for the YouTubes. Everyone's yelling at me on Twitch already, so that's fine. But these are my tiers for NA. We'll do Europe probably on Monday, and then we'll start getting into predictions and all of that stuff coming up this weekend for the next weekend. But yeah, we didn't do playing predictions because honestly, there's not a ton of results. I haven't seen them that much, so I didn't really want to predict play-ins. But good luck to all those teams out there. But that's the end of this video. Get your last yells in the comments on Twitch for YouTube. Tell me your case. Rank whoever you want to rank. We'll put Gibbs up here and rank S. There we go. Now this list makes sense. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah.